You ever heard a dance teacher say, we need to keep running the dance over and over so you can build your stamina? Growing up, that's something that I heard a lot, especially when competitions were right around the corner. But years later and many degrees and certifications later, I now know that that's not actually helping anything when it comes to building your stamina. So before we talk about why that is, and I want you to first just talk about what even is stamina, why is it so important for dancers, because this word gets kind of thrown around a lot. Stamina is the ability to sustain prolonged physical or mental effort or activity over a period of time. So we can break that down further into what's called aerobic and anaerobic endurance. Aerobic is stamina that's needed for things like long periods of running or dancing, and then anaerobic is focused on more like short bursts of high intensity effort like sprinting or heavy weightlifting or just doing like an across the floor combo. Both types of training are important in dance, but training for better stamina looks different depending on what kind you're trying to improve. So in general, having good stamina as a dancer means that you can maintain your energy and endurance during long classes, rehearsals, performances, and it allows dancers to perform with that control longer without getting fatigued. So it helps you also reduce the risk of injury and then maintain that concentration and focus during intense performances, so you're not just like out of breath, you know? So if dancers are using stamina only in terms of dance, why is running the dance not enough to actually build up the endurance that we're looking for? One reason is that this repetition is limited not only by the muscles that are engaged, but also by the intensity of that engagement too. So it's kind of like when you watch a movie over and over again, the second or third time you watch it, you don't really have to pay attention as much or work as hard to know what's going on. And you kind of get bored, right? That's kind of how I think about it in terms of like the muscles getting a little bored and like tired. You get tired of the same movie over and over again. Your muscles get more tired when we run the dance over and over and over again. So that repetition can also lead to developing bad habits or injuries like strains or overuse injuries. And there's multiple different ways that we can combat this and you're training outside of the studio. So instead of telling our dancers that they need to be doing the dance 3 times in a row, have them run outside for 10 minutes. Have them do like a whole, jumping jack combo. Give them something that's actually going to challenge them in a different way so that they can improve the stamina without having to think about all of the other things that comes with dance and all of the specific technical skills of dance. But I think the biggest reason that these practices aren't helping you actually build your stamina is because of specificity in training, and I mean that in 2 different ways. The first is that your training needs to reflect your specific needs, strengths, and weaknesses. So training programs and regimens are not one size fits all, and the same things won't work for every single dancer. So your training should be tailored to the areas that you're looking to improve. And that probably doesn't mean running the dance over and over and over again, because specificity in training also means that it should target exactly what you're working on to the exact amount of effort that your body needs. So if you're trying to strengthen your hamstrings, you wouldn't just run the dance over and over again or practice a bunch of like batmas and stretches all the time. Your training would need to be something other than dance. So that's when we see that increased risk of injury, is when we practice the same things over and over and over again. And we want to come to a place where we can feel mentally ready to go into competition and feel fresh and not feel fatigued and not feel bored of the dance and not just give into all of those patterns that we've tried so hard to correct. So how do you actually see real results when it comes to stamina? You first have to identify what kind of stamina you want to improve, either that aerobic or anaerobic training. If it's aerobic endurance, I'm emphasizing the A so you know what I'm saying, but anaerobic versus aerobic. If you're trying to improve aerobic endurance, so this would mean that you're doing more like long distance running or like longer period of time training like swimming, walking, running, biking, elliptical, whatever that kind of traditional cardio machine might look like, that's going to be improving long-term cardio and long-term adaptations to how much like oxygen you're taking in, how much blood your heart is pumping out to the rest of your body, how much like you're breathing and your lung capacity. And that's what we want to do for dance, especially if you are in a piece that's longer than 2 minutes, right? But even if it's under 2 minutes, that kind of training can still help you improve, right? Now, on the other hand, looking at anaerobic endurance, this is training for like short bursts of energy. That's what dance is really focused on a lot. Think about like when you're going across the floor, you do a combo for 10 seconds across the floor, and then you stop and you wait for your turn to go again. Or you're at the ballet bar and you do your combination for a couple minutes, and then you stop and you wait for your teacher to show you the next combination. There's a lot of starting and stopping. So I think that training anaerobically can actually help a lot more in the long run, because we're focused on more of that like long, that like shorter duration of training and then rest, and then short duration of training and rest. So you could choose a cardio-based exercise like walking, running, swimming, biking, whatever it is, but add in more like interval training there, and that should help you a lot. I hope that today's video is helpful in just distinguishing between anaerobic and aerobic endurance training. I'll put some more recap in the description below so you can read more about it, and I'll send you a couple links for research articles that you can learn more about different types of stamina and aerobic endurance training as well, and which one is good for dancers. But if you're interested in improving your stamina, leave a comment below. I would love to hear what you are focusing on in dance, how you're trying to improve your stamina, or what your favorite cardio exercise is. So let me know if you have any questions. I will see you guys next week.